So much of what we spend our time focusing on these days is getting people back to work and to make sure that our kids have the strongest public schools possible, on improving our economy right now and ensuring its prosperity in the future. But none of that means anything if our employers, their employees, our state's kids and their families, our senior citizens are not kept safe. And we're launching several efforts to do just that, to keep them safe, several of which I mentioned in my State of the State speech. But we're here today to talk specifically about 4 pieces of common sense legislation that focus on guns and gun violence. The first is a bill to close the gun show loophole, which is sponsored by Senator Harris McDowell. If a person walks into a licensed firearms dealer and tries to buy a weapon, he or she can't get that weapon unless they pass a background check. That just makes sense, and it protects all of us. But for some reason, this common sense measure does not apply to gun shows. Under current law, any adult can buy a deadly weapon at a gun show, and no background check is required. They can buy as many guns as they want at these shows, and it's almost impossible for police to trace these weapons to a buyer, whether it be a criminal or somebody with mental health issues when they're used in a crime. This bill would close that gun show loophole by requiring vendors to have a licensed firearms dealer perform a background check prior to the sale, delivery, or transfer of any firearm at a gun show. That's number one. The second would ban the possession of weapons by individuals under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And this is sponsored by Senators Henry and Marshall. This bill would make it a crime for individuals to possess firearms outside of their homes while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. First offenders will face up to a year in jail and have their concealed deadly weapons permits revoked. Repeat offenders would face up to 5 years in jail. It's simple. You cannot drive a car while drunk or otherwise intoxicated because you cannot make a rational decision about your actions. And people in no state of mind to make a rational decision about their weapon should not have a gun on their hip, their hand, or their holster. That's number 2. Number 3 is a bill to improve the quality of information reported to the Federal National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is being sponsored by House Majority Whip Representative Longhurst. Federal law bans certain mentally ill individuals, such as persons committed to mental institutions, from owning firearms. But many states, including Delaware, have provided little information to the federal database for background checks. That's the National Instant Criminal Background Check System database, NICS. And right now, our Department of Health and Social Services can supply this information to the state database for background checks, but it cannot provide it to the federal system. This bill would put all of this information in one place, the federal database, ensuring that individuals performing background checks have all vital data in one place. And in the process, we would abolish the state's firearms transaction program, which would be duplicative. And I know that our Attorney General is going to want to talk about this. It's something that he's actually been involved with for many years. And the fourth bill is about helping law enforcement do their job more effectively by allowing for the disposal of seized firearms. And this is being sponsored by a retired police officer, State Representative Dennis P. Williams. Thousands of relinquished firearms, as the Colonel mentioned, are stored in evidence lockers in law enforcement agencies throughout the state. And this bill will allow law enforcement to dispose of them and provides a responsible procedure to do so. Under this process, the last known owner will receive written notice of the law enforcement agency's intention to dispose of the weapon and will have an opportunity to show that he or she has the right to claim it. If no party claims the weapon, the law enforcement agency may dispose of it after a 60-day waiting period. In addition, this bill will for the first time allow law enforcement to dispose of firearms forfeited by an individual that's subject to a protection from abuse, or PFA order. Those are our proposals. They're common sense and approach. They don't impact responsible gun owners, but merely help ensure that the people who own weapons lawfully in the first place are those we can agree will do so safely. And that helps better protect the personal safety of all of us. And yet I expect that there is going to be a fight to get it done. There's likely to be a fight to get it done. But I think that getting these bills done will make a real difference in helping make our state more safe, particularly for the officers who find themselves facing the firearms of a criminal.